Hello everybody, welcome to a video I had hoped I wouldn't be making for a long time. David Crosby was one of my favorite songwriters of all time. I'm a songwriter and musician myself, and I've frequently found myself drawing from some of the many songs that he has written as an influence for myself. He, of course, so David Crosby passed away today. I just read, it's a news story as of like a half hour ago, and it's funny, he had a long illness. He'd had very public health struggles for the last several decades, but he still felt like the kind of guy that would just go on forever. Even as of like this week, he was posting tons on Twitter. He loved Twitter, just as a platform for getting his opinions and views across. He was never apologetic about his views. He would never hold back from speaking his mind, as he mentions in the amazing movie made about him, Remember My Name. He talks about all the friends that he'd lost in his life from being outspoken and, in his own words, being occasionally a bit of an asshole. But he spent the last few years trying to reconcile differences from some of his musical friends and such, and that movie is an absolutely amazing piece. I suggest you all go watch it right now. I made a video a couple of years ago now, I think, all about the various twists and turns of his professional life. He was in so many different groups, so many different fantastic musical projects, from his early days with the Byrds to, of course, him and a few other people who had also been jettisoned out from their various groups, specifically Stephen Stills and Graham Nash, and then later Neil Young. They would become Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and then Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. They would do so many stadium tours, massively successful. I don't need to tell anybody who's clicked on this video how massive CSNY was. Not just at their peak, but always. Every time, like, David Crosby would go out and do a tour, he'd usually be playing, like, some theaters. Same with, like, Stephen Stills and Graham Nash. Neil Young was often an arena performer, but when CSNY would come together, they were playing stadiums everywhere they went. Massively influential. During gaps in Crosby, Stills, and Nash being together, David Crosby would perform as a duo with Graham Nash here and there. In the last few years, he had been on an absolute tear. He knew his time was limited, so he's made several albums over this past decade, and they're really great. He's worked with many other artists, including Snarky Puppy is one he really liked to work with, and of course renowned by this younger generation of musicians as well. He's had a sort of second wind in terms of people recognizing his musical genius. Anytime he would have an interview, I'd go watch it. He had a fantastic Ask Croz section, or segment, or whatever you want to call it, short form internet video content for... it started as a column for Rolling Stone, and got spun out into these little video entries that I highly suggest you watch. Like I said, very opinionated guy, and by all accounts, very loving guy, though, as well. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young did their last tour together, I want to say, in 2006. Without Neil Young, Crosby, Stills, and Nash, though, continued to do performances through about 2015. I got to see him live for the first time down in Seattle in March of 2016. It was actually the week that the news had come out that Crosby, Stills, and Nash were breaking up, and as we now know, for good. Sorry, it's just hitting me now. There will never be any Crosby, Stills, and Nash, or Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young ever again. All four of them were still with us until today. But as of now, we can put 2015 as the end date of that project. That is very sad. But yeah, sorry, I saw him live doing an acoustic show in March of 2016, and it was the week that that news had come out, and he had some thoughts about it for sure. And I actually saw him a second time later that same year in Vancouver, and amazing nights. Both his 2016 tour was just him with an acoustic guitar, singing songs and telling stories. I'm so glad I got the chance to see him perform. I know that even after that, he got a band together and was starting to play electrically again. Just before the pandemic, I believe it was, there was this amazing clip. Again, I have so many clips that I'm trying to recommend you guys. But there's this amazing clip of him doing Wooden Ships with Steely Dan. Magical moment. After the pandemic shut everything down, he never really did resume touring again. I want to say 2019 was his last touring year. I was just looking back at his Twitter, and just a couple of weeks ago he posted, you know what, maybe I'm going to try and do just like 1 or 2 more shows, but of course those were never to be. Still reeling from this news. I knew he had various ailments in the later years of his life, but still, he seemed so full of life that I never would have imagined that this news would come so soon. I'm devastated to hear this. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments about what David Crosby meant to you, what Crosby, Stills, and Nash, what Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young, what the Byrds meant to you, what his... I didn't even touch on his solo career, his amazing 1971 album, If I Could Only Remember My Name, and so many more albums too. My personal favorite David Crosby song was a tune called Tracks in the Dust, but he had so many great songs, and today'll be a day for me, as well as I'm sure a lot of you, to go back and maybe rediscover a lot of his back catalog. I cannot believe that the great David Crosby is no longer with us. Showing up on your screen right now will be a link to a video that I made about the life and career of David Crosby a couple of years ago, and yeah, so sorry to hear this news. I'm going to leave out all my usual promotional links and stuff from this video, because that doesn't feel right in an obituary, and I also like to remind people that I do not make any money off of YouTube, and I'm not doing any of this to capitalize in any way, shape, or form. Just wanted to get some thoughts out about a really sad, terrible day. Thank you for watching, and yeah, was so sorry to hear this news. Let me know in the comments any memories you may have of his wonderful music.